Hello guys, so in this video we'll be having a look about Arduino, what are the Arduino boards out there and what are the boards we will be using and the specification. So let's get started. Now talking about Arduino it's an open source board that is being used for many engineering projects, building of prototypes and whatnot. So there are dozens and dozens of Arduino boards out there present. So you name it, you have all the size, types and pins of Arduinos available. I have few of them here listed, and this is not all. There are huge numbers of Arduino more boards that are available out there, but we cannot list them all, nor can we use each and every board in our project. So we will be using Arduino Nano, we'll be using Arduino Uno and Mega for major purpose. The reason is these are the common boards that are used in engineering. That is, if you are building some prototype, if you're planning to do some projects, if you're trying to learn what is hardware part. So these are the general board that is being used. People don't use all the boards, they learn with the most basic boards. Now in the further videos, when I will be working with Arduino with various sensors, so these are the boards that I'll be majorly using. So I'll be using majorly Arduino Uno, and I'll be doing few sensors on Arduino Nano and Mega also, so that you know how we use them. So your next question would be, where do I buy them? So yeah, you are free to go ahead and buy this from any local electrical stores nearby your house or nearby your place, or you can go ahead and buy this on e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart. You have many such platforms where you can buy such components and boards from online e-commerce store. And Arduino boards, as you know, it's open source, so there will be various companies selling it, so you'll have various price range also, so make sure to note that. Okay, so getting started, the first and the foremost board, that is the Arduino Uno. So universally this is the most used board in order to learn your IoT or Arduino, working with sensors, engineering project model, because this is the most basic. It has all the requirements. So whatever you need, the pins, the number of pins, the slots, the size, the weight, everything, the processor, the flash, according to everything, this fits best for any small purpose or for the starter to use this board. Now the specification and what about information. So you know, the Arduino Uno, it is a microcontroller based board which has an Atmega 320p chipset on it. So this Arduino board, it has 14 digital input and output pins. So when I say digital, it is discrete pins, that is either it can be low or it can be high. Now among these 14 pins, there are 6 pins that are used as PWM. You know what a PWM means, right? So it's a pulse width modulation, and these pins, there are discrete, but the value can range from 0 to 255. 255 being the highest 5 volt and 0 being the least 0 volt. And this Arduino board, it has 6 analog pins. So analog pins, as the word says, it is continuous. So the value may change. So the value changes from 0 to 1023. Now there is a 16 megahertz resonator inbuilt, and you have a USB connection in the Arduino, so that it's easier to connect in your laptop and write a program and burn it in the flash. Also you have a power jack, you have an ICSP header, and you have a reset button. So when you want to restart the program, you want to reset the computation, you have a reset button out there. And also you have an AC to DC adapter, which you can use that in battery to power up the Arduino. Now coming to the technical specification of Arduino. So Arduino, what type of microcontroller does it have? It has an Atmega 328p board. Now what is the operating voltage? So the max voltage the Arduino can give you is 5 volt. What is the input voltage? So when you're trying to give input, if you're not using USB but you're using some battery to give input to the Arduino, so you can give anywhere between 7 to 12 volts of input. Now talking about digital IO pins, how many digital pins are there? So there are 14 digital pins in the Arduino, in which 6 of them are PWM, pulse width modulation pins. So as you can see in the next part, we have PWM pins. We have 6 PWM pins, we have 6 analog pins. Now what is the max DC current given per pin? So 20 milliamps of power is given, max current, it is max current given by per pin, and that is for a 5 volt. Now DC current for a 3.3 volt, it is 50 milliamp. What is the size of memory? So whatever program you write, it gets flashed in memory, right? It gets downloaded and burned in the memory. So what is the max size? So there is max size of 32 KB. So your program can be at max 32 KB in size. Out of this 32 KB, 0.5 KB is used for bootloader, that is for your boot ups. Now what is the static RAM available? You have 2 KB of static RAM and EEP erasable ROM. So you have 1 KB of erasable electronic ROM out there. What is the max clock speed the Arduino can handle? So your Arduino can give a max clock speed of 16 megahertz. Now do we have an inbuilt LED on the Arduino Uno? Yes, we do have an Arduino's inbuilt LED, and that is placed in pin number 13. So what is the length of Arduino Uno? So the length of this Arduino Uno is 68.6 mm, that is nothing but 6.8 centimeter, and the width is 5.3 centimeter, and it weighs around 25 grams, which makes it very light to have it on any other platform. So this was all about your Arduino board and then the specification. Now coming to the application, so where all do we use this Arduino boards? So Arduino Uno, it is used for do-it-yourself project prototyping. So if you are doing a project, maybe a school, an academic project, or an engineering project, or you're trying to build a prototype to show it to a company or so you can use this Arduino. Now Arduino is also used in developing project based on code-based control. So if you have to control few sensors, if you have to control something based on the program, so you can straight away go and use a Arduino Uno. Arduino Uno, it is also used in automation system. If you want to fetch some sensors data and you have to trigger some actuators, so you can go ahead and use the Arduino. Also it is used for designing the basic circuit design. So if you have some basic circuit to be designed, you can straight away go ahead and use an Arduino board. So these were few slides about Arduino Uno. Next, coming to the next board, that is Arduino Nano. So what is this Arduino Nano? It is a small mini size board. So I can say it is just the half of the Arduino Uno. Now why do we need a board half of the size? Because there are some cases where you're working and you need a smaller board that can fit to your prototype, or you don't need a larger board. So you can go ahead and use an Arduino Nano, or if you need just few digital pins, for that you don't want to buy a bigger one, you want a smaller one, you can go ahead and use an Arduino Nano. So talking about Arduino Nano, it's a small, complete and breadboard friendly board. Now why do we say breadboard friendly board? Because you can see it is so small that it can fit on any breadboard. So it is known as breadboard friendly board, and it has an Atmega 328 chipset. Now you can see it has an Atmega 328 chipset, which is same as the Arduino Uno. Now this has more or less the same functionality as Arduino Duo, that is nothing but the other board out there which is same as your Arduino Nano. The only problem with the, or I can say the only drawback with Arduino Nano is that it lacks a DC power jack. So in your Arduino you can give an external power supply using a battery, but here it lacks that. And this, instead of using a normal USB cable, it uses a mini B type USB cable. So that is nothing but if you have a normal charger USB. Now if you understand by that charger USB what we use, so yes, you can use such USB cables for uploading the programs. Now coming to the specification about the board, so as we know, the microcontroller out there in this is Atmega 320p. What is the operating voltage? So this can give a max of 5 volt. Now what is the flash? Again, it is same as your Atmega 320p and Arduino Uno, it is 32 KB, but in this we have 2 KB of, that is 2 KB is used for bootloader. If you check properly, in Arduino Uno there is 0.5, and in Arduino Nano it is 2 KB that is used for bootloader. What about static RAM? It is the same 2 KB. What about the clock speed? It is the exactly same as Arduino Nano, that is 16 megahertz. It has 8 analog pins. If you compare this with Uno, Uno has 6 analog pins, but here we have 8 analog pins. About digital pins, it has 22 digital pins, in which 6 of them are PWM pin, pulse width modulation pin. Now, as mentioned above, it has 6 PWM modulation pin. What about the power consumption? It takes in 19 milliamp power consumption, this Arduino Mega. What is the size of PCB? It is 18 into 45 mm, that is 1.8 centimeter, that is the width, and the height is 45 centimeter. Now, talking about the weight, it is 7 grams. It holds a very small weight, that is 7 grams, and the max input voltage this microcontroller can take is 7 to 12 volts. So this is about the technical specification about the Arduino Nano. Next, coming to the application, where do we use this? So it is used in, again, as you know, it is used in do-it-yourself projects. As we used Arduino Uno, we can use Mega, we can use Nano, the same. The only difference is the number of pins and the size depends. Now, it is also used in developing code-based control. So if you have to control few actuators based on some sensor data or so, you can use the Arduino Nano. Now, it is used in development of automation system, and it is used in small circuit design. Because of its design, it is used in a small circuit design. Next, we have Arduino Mega. As the word suggests, Mega, this is a big board relatively compared to Arduino Uno and Arduino Nano. Now, this Arduino Mega 2560 in particular, it is a microcontroller based, which is at Mega 2560. So this has a huge 54 digital input output pins, and in that 54 digital output pins, 15 of them are used for PWM pins, and we have 16 analog inputs in that and 4 UART for serial communication. So if you compare these values, this is way more than the Arduino Uno and Mega. So if you have multiple sensors and actuators connected to one circuit, if you need multiple pins, then you can go ahead and use an Arduino Mega because it has multiple pins. This has a 16 megahertz oscillator. It has a USB connector. As the Arduino Uno, it has a power jack. It has everything same as the Arduino Uno, except that it has a powerful chip, and also it has multiple pins compared to the Arduino Uno. Now, coming to the technical specification of this board, it has at Mega 328p, that is wrong. It has at Mega 2560. It can operate in 5 volt. The maximum input you can give is 7 to 12 volts. It has 54 digital pins, in which 15 of them are PWM. So we have 15 PWM pins. We have 16 analog pins. Now, what is the DC current given by per pin? It is 20 milliamp, and for 3 volt pin, it is 50 milliamp. What is the flash size memory? Because this is a relatively huge board, it has 256 KB size of flash memory, in which 8 KB is used for bootloader. Now, the static RAM here is 8 KB, which is more than any other board. EPROM is also 4 KBs. We have clock speed same as the Arduino Uno, 16 megahertz. Also, this has an inbuilt LED, which is at pin 13, and the length you can see it is 10.15 centimeter in length, and the width is 5.3 centimeter, and it weighs around 37 gram, which is more than the Arduino Uno and Mega. Arduino Uno and Nano. So this is relatively bigger board compared to the other two. What are the applications for this? So it has similar application to the Arduino Uno and Mega, but the extra thing is Arduino Mega, it is used when lot of sensors are required to integrate in a single circuit. So these are the application technical specification for the boards. Now, talking about the resources, these are the resources for the information whatever I have provided. You can go ahead and you can verify, and also you can go and learn more on these resources.